me think, 1974. And Bob Leverance was the pastor then. And Valley had 4 adult classes, options for people, Sunday school options, and that was great fun. The church was in the round with Bob pretty much centered below that part of the ceiling. If you look up, you'll see that circle, and that's where the platform was. And it was a very neat arrangement. Golly, trying to think what, over the years, what happened. We were there until about 19, oh gosh, trying to think. I think it was about 1985 that I got a Christian ed job at Highland Park Presbyterian, and I was there for 2 years. And then I every once in a while I think, well, time to spend more time with Dave, and then I'd be home for a while and I'd think, oh, time to go back to work again. So then I went to work at Zion Lutheran Church as administrative secretary, and I was there for 10 years, and that was a great job for me. So, golly, at that time, they wanted someone as secretary that had a church membership somewhere else. When I worked at Highland Park Church, our membership was there. So I was away from Valley for a couple of years, but came back then after that job ended. And it's been really a wonderful journey, having done a lot at Valley, teaching 3 and 4-year-olds. That's when I met Lee and Dan Schott. When they brought Gabe, he was a 3-year-old. And we were teaching with Joe, oh gosh, Lee, do you remember her last name? She was, she had a preschool that met at Covenant Presbyterian. So she and her husband taught the class with Dave and I. And that was great fun. And over the years, I've taught different things at Valley. We had disciple classes. We started when that program came out, and did the first year of disciple. Then we did the first year another time. There were more people interested in doing it. And then we ended up doing all 4 years of disciple. And it was a great study. By then, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of our pastor that was there.
John Disberg?
John Disberg, yes. He was a really good teacher, and we learned a lot from that program. So that was good.
I remember you casting this vision of 10 pastors over the next 10 years. Say a word
it was
about
20
that.
years. The next 20 years. Yes, it was a challenge to our church to raise up out of the congregation 10 pastors in the next 20 years. And so Lee and Dan Schott were 2 that went, and Angie Loomis was one. And there was someone else that I don't remember. Do you remember a man? I don't know who he was, and it was just a short connection, but it seems to me that he went into the ministry too. So 3 for sure, possibly 4 ended up going in, and that was our prayer, that we would raise up those people out of the congregation. And that was an interesting challenge, and very rewarding.
You never know when you make those prayers, you might get them back.
Yes. Wow.
Any other, like if you had to pick a high point, is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh, golly. Well, certainly the nativity displays were definitely a high point. Golly. Trying to think. Classes over the years have been high points. UMW has been a high point. Just a variety of things. And I hope all that starts up again sometime and people enjoy being together and reaching out. There were mission trips that I never took, but I was always proud of the people that went and the work that they did. Golly, seems like I ought to know more, but I can't think of anything else right now.
That's okay. One last question, and then I'll let you get off camera. Right. Are you different because of your faith? Has your faith changed you? Can you think of a way that faith has changed you, Vi?
Oh, I think faith has molded me. And, it started when I was 15 and gave myself to the Lord. And at that time, my goal was to be a missionary. So I went to the University of Dubuque thinking I would end up as a teacher in an Indian school. So that changed when I met Dave in January, and we were married in July and started having our own family, I guess, shortly thereafter, another year or two later. And so then I became a mom, and that was my mission.
A different kind of mission.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Vi.
My pleasure.
I recorded that with Vi when it seemed like we had all kinds of time, and it was before she moved away, and she's here with us today, but I told her she had to either talk or be on video, and so this was her video. But Vi, we're so glad for you to be back with us this morning. Our next video is from Rick and Carolyn Santee. Rick is not with us this morning. Carolyn, I think, is probably in the kitchen getting the lunch ready, but they recorded, oh good, there's Carolyn. They recorded a bit just a few days ago, and so we'll hear from them. They are the very first worship service that the Valley did.
Richard and I, we moved to West Des Moines in the summer of 1971 with our 2-year-old son. Both of us were in our late 20s at that time. We started immediately to look for a church home. We had both grown up in small rural country churches. We found out through the local newspaper, the West Des Moines Express, that there was a new Methodist church starting at Western Hills School. It was meeting. And so we decided to give it a try. So that first day we went to Western Hills to the gymnasium, and that's where the service was held. The people were very friendly. And so here we are 50 years later, still going to West Valley United Methodist Church. We were proud to be recognized as charter members, even though we did nothing to organize that first church service. The thing I remember the most about that first service was how everyone was so friendly, and they really made you feel at home. So needless to say, we never visited another church after that. And this is kind of a reputation that Valley has, is for being a friendly church. And of course, now we have this beautiful facility at this scenic location that, and through the 50 years we've been here, we've met many wonderful people who have truly enriched our spiritual and our secular lives. To us, Valley United Methodist Church is truly a large part of our family.
As I think about the 50 years that both Carol and I have been members, I think about all the fun moments that have occurred over those 50 years. And so I thought I'd spend my minute or two just recounting a couple of those, what I thought were kind of fun moments. The first one was in the 1970s when Bob Leverance was our minister. And one Sunday morning, Bob decided it'd be a good idea to incorporate a pinata into the church service. Now, pinata, for those of you who don't recognize the name, is a paper animal filled with candy. And you hit it with a stick and the candy's supposed to fall out. So on that particular Sunday morning, Bob invited Catherine Wiley, who was the oldest member of our congregation at that time, to come join him at the altar. Now, Catherine was in her 80s, maybe 90s, but quite a petite, frail lady. And so she and Bob were up at the front. Then Bob invited all the children of the church to come up and gather around he and Catherine. And my memory is there were about 20 or 30 children came up. And then Catherine and Bob proceeded to hit the pinata with a stick. And it took, if I remember correctly, it took 2 or 3 strikes before the pinata burst open, the candy fell on the floor. What Bob had not anticipated, nor anyone else, is that as soon as the candy hit the floor, there was a virtual tsunami of children enveloped both Bob and poor Catherine Wiley. And the next thing we knew, they both went down in this avalanche of human beings. Now, fortunately, no one was hurt, but I think that's the last time the pinata was ever used as part of the church service. The second funny moment, and this is much shorter, was one Sunday morning, Bud Potts, who longtime member of Valley, he and his wife Sue. I think Bud was also a charter member. But Bud got up during the prayer time and was telling us that he and Sue were observing 30 years of happily married life. And then after the applause died down, Bud added, and by the way, it's our 35th wedding anniversary. As you might imagine, Sue was a wonderful person herself and a very understanding wife. So let me just conclude my remarks by saying, congratulations, Valley United Methodist Church, on 50 years.
Our last video this morning is from Jan Merrill, who was the organist here for several years, around the time I came, and I think she started in 1995, shortly before Dan and I moved here. And she has just some words about her work and about Valley.
I just want to thank everybody at Valley and let them know how much it meant to me to be the organist there through the years. We came to Des Moines from Webster City, where I'd been the organist at Asbury Methodist Church for 17 years. And it was very difficult for me to leave that position. For 2 years, I didn't have any job playing the organ other than subbing occasionally. And so I was thrilled when I got asked to be at Valley. And so I came there in 1995 and just felt so happy to have that job and to have a Valley family. And I can't really call it a job because when you do something that you love, it's really a blessing and not a job. Through all the years, this is a personal note, but through all the years at Webster City and at Valley, I always said this prayer before I started to play. I always prayed that whatever music I played would be to God's glory. And I also prayed that my music would help the congregation worship God more fully through that part of the service. And then I just thank God for having that wonderful privilege and blessing of being able to play for church, and asked Him to help me do my best. So I've really enjoyed all my years at Valley, and I just want everyone to know that and to thank them for those precious years.
I do want to welcome you all to this time of sharing. They asked me to MC this, I think, because they figured I would be gathering some of these and having some of these conversations with people. We're going to spend the next 40 minutes probably doing some memories, and then we'll break for lunch about 11:40. And we're going to hear first from our former pastors who are here, and I've asked them to be brief. And then we'll have an open mic time, starting with Gayla Kaufman. And I'm asking anyone else who stands up here to be brief, just because we need to do that. And then we'll break for lunch. And I'm going to invite people who want to go outside to eat to go first through the line, because I know some of us are uncomfortable being in masks, being with a bunch of unmasked people eating. So if you want to be outside, we'll have those folks go first. I did mention at the end of worship that our district superintendent, He-Sean John, is here, and I did want to give him an opportunity to offer a brief welcome here at the beginning of our time together. So come on up. He-Sean is the new DS of the newly named Riverview Park District, which we are now in as of about last summer, right?
Yes. Well, yeah, I have to learn my new district new name too, the Riverview Park District. Hopefully you understand that came from the EUB campground there. But anyhow, congratulations on your 50th anniversary. And I think that I have to say first, thank you. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your resilience. That I had a lot of meetings with your committee, especially SPRC, last 6 years. 6 years. Can you hear me well? Okay. 6 years. And we have gone through a lot of things. But like Angie mentioned, the peaks and valleys and ups and downs, all those lives we've been together. But I want to say thank you for your commitment to the ministry of the church. And one more thing is actually, I want to say thank you for your the passion to develop the leaders from your congregation. Look at this. The Lee Schott and Dan Schott and the Angie Loomis and Randy's here, they are yours. And you raise up their leadership for the congregation and the conference and across the denomination. I believe that your intentionality made a huge difference through their leadership as well. So thank you. And also, you have a big heart for missions. I know that you are the mission-oriented churches. So thank you for your passion for mission to the world, reaching out, reaching in. That is your mission there. So please continue to live out that mission and be the church, be the beacon of hope for your ministry and around this neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, He-Sean. So as we were getting ready for this event, we reached out to the former pastors who were still living and to their surviving spouses if they weren't. And one of the people who I was able to finally reach out to just by accident almost over the last couple of days was Doris Knight, who was the wife of Norm Knight, who served here from 1984 till whenever Ron got here. And she sent me these notes to share in an email. She said, when we came to Valley United Methodist Church in July 1984, we were amazed by the large area with lawn and trees and by the building itself. The sanctuary was an open space with chairs arranged in circles in front of the communion table. How many of you remember the church in the round? I was not here when that was the way. A lot of people in this room remember that. The setting suited Norm perfectly because he liked to be free to move as he conducted the service. Norm loved his years at Valley. She went on to use the following words to describe the congregation here: welcoming, dedicated, innovative, flexible, and responsive to Norm's leadership. And then she closed with these words: I am revisiting your directory. She told me this in 2 different emails. She'd gone back to an old Valley directory, or I don't know how current, and was looking at the names. She says, I'm thinking about all the wonderful friends there. Your 50th anniversary will surely reflect your mission statement, which ends with the phrase, let us be God's love in action. So those are some lovely words from Doris, who is now at Wesley Acres, and she's been such a light in our conference as well around mission, and has done so much work. So glad for her to be able to be part of this today. Ron Unser is the next pastor who's represented here this morning, and so I'm going to give him the mic, and I told him he can't talk very long, which I told all the pastors. But we'll hear from him if I can. There we go.
Celebrating one of the grand milestones of their ministry and their place in the community, and a chance to remember the leadership that the conference has provided, as well as the dedicated lay people that made everything happen. I've always said, leadership comes from the members of the church. In the same way that if you want to know what's going on in the church, don't ask the pastor, ask the church secretary. So we've had administrative leaders and as well church secretaries that have been amazing. And in the terms of the